North Carolina quarterback Drake Maye was the third overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. He was the third quarterback taken behind Caleb Williams of the Bears and Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. I like Drake Maye a lot as a prospect, but I'll be honest, I was absolutely petrified of the situation he was drafted into in New England. And heading into the 2024 draft, it was obvious New England needed a quarterback, as Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones weren't going to cut it. They averaged just 13.9 points per game in 2023 and had 6 games, meaning 35% of their schedule in 2023, in which they had 7 points or less, including 2 games in which they were shut out at home by the Saints and the Chargers. And heading into the 2024 draft cycle, I was always going to be fearful for which quarterback was selected by the Patriots. Now, I didn't think Drake Maye was destined to be a draft bust because he was selected by New England, but I do think in a lot of ways he was set up to fail in his rookie year. And in today's video, we're going to break down how awful his rookie year was at times and what his future looks like with the Patriots from here on out. And if you could like the video, I'd really appreciate it, and without further ado, let's begin. And we are starting today's video by discussing the situation Drake Maye was walking into heading into his rookie season. His coach was first-year head coach Jerod Mayo, and his OC was Alex Van Pelt, who was the Browns' offensive coordinator from 2020 through 2023. And heading into Drake Maye's rookie season, I didn't have a problem with either guy. Jerod Mayo was always going to be the next Patriots head coach, and this was pretty well known. I think it would be ignorant to sit here after the fact and say, well, the Patriots should have known X or Y was going to happen and have revisionist history. No, that was not my main concern heading into 2024. My main concern heading into 2024 was the talent on the roster, and whether the head coach was Jerod Mayo, Vince Lombardi, Bill Belichick, or whoever, I always thought the Patriots were going to struggle in 2024 regardless of who the coach was. Heading into the year with your top receivers being Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, and Kayshon Boutte was always a choice, and the offensive line wasn't great either, and these were problems known before the 2024 season started. These problems did not magically appear out of thin air, and one thing that I will legitimately criticize is a decision the Patriots made during the 2024 draft that I think the Patriots will regret for quite some time. They had the 34th pick, which is the second pick in the second round, and they traded back 3 spots with the Chargers so the Chargers could go up and get Georgia wide receiver Ladd McConkey. New England selected Jalen Polk at pick 37 with the Chargers pick, and this was a decision I never understood when it was made. I didn't understand it then, and I didn't understand it now. You knew entering the draft that Drake Maye was going to need a receiver, and a very good receiver in Ladd McConkey fell into your lap at pick 34. Why not take the better player? The Chargers also needed a receiver too, and everyone knew that. And for reference, 2024 was the first year I tweeted out my top 150 players on my big board before the draft, and I had Ladd McConkey at player 34, ironically where he was drafted, and Jalen Polk at player 43. Sure, you can say there's not that much of a difference, but the point is, if you were already going to take a receiver, why would you purposefully get cute with the pick and take a worse prospect? Now, one thing I did not think was going to happen would be the stark contrast between the two players in their rookie year. Because of the poor receiving situation in LA, I thought Ladd had a chance to go for over 1,000 yards in his rookie year, and he did, as he went for over 1,100 yards. Now, I would be lying if I said that I thought Jalen Polk would only have a 12-reception, 87-yard rookie year. I thought he could be a 600 to 800 yard guy and develop with Drake Maye, and if everything went right, maybe have a 1,000 yard season or two over the course of his career. But unless things change in a big way, this is going to prove to be a very bad pick. For reference, Polk had just 33 targets in his rookie season, and to haul in 12 receptions for a catch percentage of just 36.4% is already bad, but to give you an idea of just how bad his numbers during his rookie season were, he had 17 targets 10 or more yards down the field in 2024, and this is per PFF. And as you can imagine, given he had just 12 receptions for 87 yards during his entire rookie season, he did not haul in many of those passes. On passes 10 or more yards down the field in 2024, Jalen Polk hauled in just 3 receptions for 39 yards and 1 touchdown on 17 targets 10 or more yards down the field. Ladd McConkey was targeted 53 times 10 or more yards down the field, and he hauled in 38 receptions for 771 yards and 5 touchdowns. And again, I would be lying if I said I thought Jalen Polk would have a 12-catch, 87-yard rookie season, but Ladd McConkey was a better football player, and this was one of many reasons why the Patriots finished 2024 with a 4-13 record and have just 7 wins over the last 2 years. The one thing that I can't emphasize enough in today's video is I do not want this to be a complete revisionist history and that the Patriots should have done this or should have done that. The only thing that I would confidently say that they should have done if they were going to go receiver, which they obviously were, was they should have drafted a better receiving prospect than Ladd McConkey over Jalen Polk. One move that I absolutely love that the New England Patriots did was select Central Florida Javon Baker. I love Javon Baker in the draft process. I didn't think he was going to be a 1,000-yard player as a 4th round pick in 2024, but I thought this was a guy that was an early to mid 3rd round prospect, and they selected him on day 3 of the 2024 draft, and unfortunately Javon had 1 reception for 12 yards in his rookie year. Now, Jalen Polk and Javon Baker did not work out in their rookie seasons. Technically, they can still work out and they can still be productive NFL players, although I think everyone would acknowledge that that window is certainly smaller than what it was 365 days ago. That should not be a hot take. But one thing that also should not be a hot take was the starting lineup the Patriots had in Week 1 against the Bengals last year, in which they sent out KJ Osborne, Tyquan Thornton, and Demario Douglas as Jacoby Brissett's top 3 receivers, and that was the biggest reason that I was all for Drake Maye sitting not just a couple of games in his rookie year, but his entire rookie season. And I had a lot of concerns with this team after the first 5 games in which Jacoby Brissett started, in which the Patriots put up cumulatively 62 points in 5 games. When I was researching this video, I found out that the Patriots have 525 total points over the last 2 years, which obviously isn't good. And for reference, 2 teams in the NFL last year had 525 points or more in the Buffalo Bills, who had 525 points exactly in 2024, and the Lions, of course, who were an offensive juggernaut last year as they had 564 points. So for 2 teams in the NFL to have more points in one season that the Patriots have over the last 2 really starts to show the setting and the lack of talent that Drake Maye had around him entering his rookie season, and for that matter, all throughout his rookie season. It unfortunately never got better, aside from a splash play here or a splash play there. Now, obviously, the concept of today's video is that Drake Maye was set up to fail entering his rookie season based on the skill position players, coaching staff, and offensive line around him. But I think you could also make an argument that Ramondre Stevenson was set up to fail in 2024. And I do think Ramondre will be a lot better in 2025. And I really also like the fact that New England selected Travion Henderson from Ohio State in the 2nd round. And I think that Ramondre and Travion will quietly be one of the better duos in the NFL in 2025. Now, one thing that I do want to heavily emphasize is that Drake Maye was not an MVP candidate, and he was a victim of the poor situation around him, and that he will be this MVP player over the course of the next 10 years. Now, do I think he will be eventually? Absolutely. I think Drake Maye is a really, really talented quarterback, and I think he is on the rise to being a great quarterback in this league for a long time. But he made several rookie mistakes, and that should have been expected. I think there's times where people see a rookie season like Jaden Daniels, who had a tremendous rookie season, and credit to Jaden Daniels for having the year he had, and basically use that as a measuring stick for players moving forward, and to say that, Drake Maye didn't have the rookie year that Jaden Daniels did, Caleb Williams didn't have the rookie year that Jaden Daniels did, and that they will never achieve the level of success that Jaden Daniels did. And again, I'm happy for Jaden, but Drake Maye also made his fair share of rookie mistakes, and there were a couple of interceptions that I'm sure Drake Maye would have liked to have had back. The one against the Texans was a pretty clear overthrow, and Caitlin Bullock made a good play on the ball. There were not one, but a couple of bad throws against the Titans and bad decisions against the Titans in which Drake Maye should have never made. And the one against the Bears was a play where Drake Maye was trying to fit a ball in a hole shot along the sideline that he honestly should have never attempted, and the interception looks pretty laughable on the broadcast copy, but again, it was a play that Drake Maye should have never attempted. Now, the one common theme with the Texans, Titans, and Bears interceptions and bad decisions that he made within those games was that they were very early in Drake Maye's starts, and that he gradually got better as the season went on, despite having the play calling certainly not in his favor at times, and the receivers obviously were never going to be in his favor in 2024 either. And I would argue in some ways that it was a miracle we saw Drake Maye have the success he did at times during his rookie season. And for reference, the starting lineup along the offensive line in the Jets game in which he left early, from left to right, was Vidarian Lowe, Mike Jordan, Ben Brown, Mike Nwenu, and Demontre Jacobs. And obviously that's not a good offensive line, and I know that we talked about Drake Maye being set up for failure, so I do want to specifically highlight that while there were multiple undrafted free agents along the offensive line starting in this game, game. It is worth noting that David Andrews was on injured reserve, so the Patriots did not roll into the season with an undrafted free agent center and basically say, hey, go out there and try your best, Ben Brown, and go out and protect our franchise quarterback. The Patriots dealt with a lot of injuries along the offensive line in 2024, but again, I go back to the point of the roster not being good enough to begin with to legitimately support a rookie quarterback and hope that he can be your franchise quarterback for years to come. One other player that I thought was going to be serviceable for the Patriots that, again, I was completely wrong on based on how he played in 2024 was free agent acquisition Chukwuma Okorafor. I thought he could be a serviceable player, not an all-pro or Pro Bowl level by any means, but I thought he could be an average tackle, and unfortunately he only played 12 snaps against the Bengals in week 1 before getting benched for the rest of the season. So in a lot of ways, Chukwuma Okorafor's short term in New England was in a lot of ways how the Patriots 2024 season would ultimately go. Now, there were a lot of frustrating aspects from Drake Maye's rookie season, and I don't think you can point to just one thing because it truly had it all. Not great receivers, check. Not great offensive line play, check. Poor offensive play calling to help out your 22-year-old rookie quarterback, also check. And there were countless times down the stretch of the season where I felt bad for Drake Maye because he didn't stand a chance. And the game on the road against Miami is a good example. There was a play early in the second quarter where it was 3rd and 16, and New England was calling a concept where they'd have 2 vertical routes with the third receiver, or in this case a tight end in Hunter Henry, running a deep post/deep crosser route, if you will, and the number 1 receiver counting outside in, running a 16-yard dig. The concept had Ramondre Stevenson as a check down and had Austin Hooper chip the edge rusher Chop Robinson and run a drag underneath. Demontre Jacobs was a problem in 2024 as he allowed 49 pressures on the year, including 9 pressures in this game alone. And I know Chop Robinson is a very explosive athlete. As per mock draftable, he ran a 1.54 10-yard split and a 4.48 40, both of which are in the 97th percentile for the edge rushing position in his pre-draft process. But Demontre Jacobs even gets help with a chip here, and it's still not enough before Chop brings Drake down for a 9-yard loss. And like we always say in the channel, multiple things can be true on one play. Chop Robinson made a good play, but Jacobs also had his feet in cement, and there was a reason he allowed 9 sacks on the season. There was also a play later in the third quarter where it was 3rd and 15, and the Dolphins ran a good stunt which set Emmanuel Ogbah free, and there was a point in the play where you can freeze it and there's 3 Patriots blocking 1 player, with Drake Maye effectively running for his life. This was undoubtedly one of the lowest points of Maye's rookie year, and there was a point in this game where New England was down 31-0. They had 5 first-half drives against Miami, technically 6 if you want to include the kneel-down Drake Maye had with 2 seconds left in the half, but for the sake of this, we're saying 5 drives, and they were 4 3-and-outs and a missed 45-yard field goal. And there was certainly a lot of frustration in that game, but there was the next week against Indy as well, which would be an understatement. To give you an idea of how lopsided this game was for New England, they outgained Indy by 169 yards, had 1 turnover to their 2, and ran over 40 plays in Indy territory, yet lost 25-24. New England was up 24-17 with 8 minutes to play when Anthony Richardson threw an interception on a Yankee concept, which is designed to attack a single high safety structure, and Christian Gonzalez made a hell of a play near midfield. New England got the ball back with a perfect opportunity to move the ball maybe 15 to 20 yards and make it a 27-17 game, and in the best case scenario, give Indy the ball back with 3 minutes or so and force Anthony Richardson to beat you not once, but twice. And New England ran the ball twice in their first 2 plays, netting a total of -1 yards, setting them up for a 3rd and 11 on their own 47-yard line. On the 3rd and 11, New England has a 7-man pass protection and is running a 3-man route concept, and Demontre Jacobs gets beat by Kwity Paye, and Hunter Henry, the tight end, predictably gets beat by 2024 first-rounder Laiatu Latu. New England punted the ball away, and Indy had a 19-play, 80-yard drive and converted the 2-point conversion to go on to win 25-24. And in a lot of ways, that summarizes Drake Maye's rookie season. Now, the Joey Sly 68-yard game-winning attempt against the Colts was a lot closer than, well, really everyone probably would have thought that the kick was going to be to begin with, but that was in Week 13, and the Patriots headed into their Week 14 bye with a 3-10 record, and their Week 15 game against the Arizona Cardinals, to me, was a complete summarization of everything that was frustrating about the 2024 Patriots, and then maybe even the Week 17 game against the Chargers in which they lost 40-7, but the Cardinals game in particular was bad for a couple of reasons, as there was an interception thrown by Drake Maye in this game in which Drake did everything right. And this is an example of a play where I thought Drake Maye was really showing signs of progression towards the end of his season, despite the play being an interception. He was under pressure. There was a play from the Cardinals DB where he was clearly coming in to drill the receiver on what would have been a hospital ball. Drake Maye purposefully threw it behind him so he could protect himself, and unfortunately the receiver bobbled it up, and it was a very Looney Tunes style play that bounced right into the DB's arms that unfortunately goes in the stat sheet as an interception. Also within the Cardinals game was one of the most frustrating sequences of the entire season for the Patriots. They had 3rd and 1 on the Arizona 4-yard line, and they called back-to-back running plays on 3rd and 4th down. They did not get the first down, and this was at a point in the game where they were down 16-3 with 5 minutes left in the third, so the game was very much still winnable for the Patriots. And after this game was when I really thought Maye was going to be fired at the end of the season because of how the situation was handled after the game. After the game, a reporter asked Maye, "What were your thoughts on the play calling down there, and that Drake Maye is a running quarterback? Would you have liked to have seen him get the football in his hands and try and make something happen?" And Gerard answered the reporter's question with, "You said it, not me." And to me, that was kind of a former player answering the question rather than a coach answering the question. And like we've said before in the channel, there's reasons that Bill Belichick would say the boring answers like, "We're on to Cincinnati, and that, we got to play better defensively, and we have to just not commit turnovers offensively, and if we do those things, we'll win the football game." And as boring as answers as those were, he didn't get into trouble because of his voice and because of saying things like that. And that was at that point where I said, you know what, Maye is probably going to be one and done, especially when they're going to be able to potentially bring in somebody like a Ben Johnson or a Mike Vrabel or a really, really good head coaching candidate, because they're going to want to work with Drake Maye, and that is exactly what happened. Now, entering the 2025 season, I think this fan base has a lot to root for, and I think the Patriots did a lot of things the right way to give Drake Maye a fighting chance. Entering 2024, I was all for Drake Maye sitting the entire rookie season, and there's a reason for that. There was a reason that they've had back-to-back seasons with less than 300 points in back-to-back years, and there's a reason that they've had seasons with back-to-back top 5 draft picks. But in this offseason alone, they brought in guys like Will Campbell, Travion Henderson, Kyle Williams, Jared Wilson, and I know this specifically does not pertain to helping out Drake Maye, but to draft a player in Braden Swinson in the 5th round, a guy who I had in my top 50 of the 2025 big board, was an absolute steal and slam dunk for the Patriots front office. And to supplement the roster in free agency by bringing in guys like Milton Williams, Stephon Diggs, Carlton Davis, and even Garrett Bradbury, who I don't think is a good offensive lineman, but should be a good one-year stopgap starter, was a great process by the Patriots. And the biggest thing for New England this offseason was raising the floor for Drake Maye and the offense in 2025 to legitimately give them a chance, so that he's not getting beat to a pulp week in and week out, and that they're not starting multiple undrafted free agents along the offensive line and basically saying to Drake Maye, good luck, go out there and try your best, because this is not a good unit offensively, and you're going to have to make it work. So for everything the Patriots did this offseason, I really, really like where they are, and while that may not translate to an 11 or 12 win year in 2025, I think they're going to be a 7-9 win team, or 7-9 win floor team, and be able to build on that in 2026 and beyond, because I legitimately think that Mike Vrabel is going to be the head coach of this team for not just a year or two, but really the next 5 to 7 years. And I know it's wild to predict the NFL in 4 or 5 or 6 years, but that's how much I believe in Mike Vrabel and ultimately where this franchise is headed over the course of the next few years. I know some people didn't like the Stephon Diggs contract, especially given that he is a 31-year-old receiver coming off of a torn ACL, and to give him a 3-year, $63 million deal was kind of reckless spending, but it was a good process from the Patriots front office because they can get out of the contract after 1 year, and the reality is they're not going to be able to pay somebody like Christian Gonzalez or Keon White strictly because of the Stephon Diggs contract. So the Patriots franchise is protected, and if Stephon Diggs balls out the way he expects himself to, then he's also getting compensated too. So I really like that signing due in large part to that, and also going back to the point that it raises the floor of the Patriots team from where they were last year. And heading into 2025, I think the Patriots are a dark horse playoff team. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as I cannot thank you guys enough for the support, and we are closing in on 200,000 subscribers. Until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.